Hello. Can you hear me this time? Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, so I just want to show you a little bit about getting around in Forte. Can you see the menu on the bottom of the screen with the... Okay. Okay, so there's a little microphone. You can mute yourself. So I do that when I'm tuning, so you don't have to listen to me tune my guitar. Um, I can hear you now. I cannot hear you there. Perfect, right? And then with the camera, I have an option of I can change my camera view to show you the side view, which comes in really handy with demonstrating guitar because I can show you chord structures, or I can move that around and have it on the side and show you other things with my, if we're doing finger picking. So that's a nice option. And then I can go back to the main view. This is how I look most of the time. It's just straight on. If we ever have any trouble in the meeting where suddenly you can't hear me or I can't hear you, we'll shut it down and then rejoin. So yeah, you can stay in the waiting room though. I turn off the meeting and then restart the meeting. It doesn't seem to matter if you leave or not. It's me restarting the meeting. It's probably a connection issue on some back end that I'm not really techie, so um, yeah. And for me too, I can turn off my, but I like to leave my camera on because I might forget and, start picking my nose. Hopefully not, right? Um, and then we have the record button. So I can record the session where sometimes maybe if you get stuck on something and I really want to make sure you get to practice it, we'll record just a little bit of the session and then we both get an email. You can download the video and play along with it as many times as you want. So in that way you get extra bonus, right, that you wouldn't get in an in-person lesson. And you can also hit record if something's going on and you're like, oh, I don't want to miss this. And then it's coming from your perspective of the lesson and not mine. So that's a nice option. And then I have the share screen option. I don't have anything open right now, but I can share my screen and I can show you, like every so often, one of my clients was working on Oralee, and so I found a good play along track on YouTube with the full band, and I can share that with them that way, and then we can both hear it and work on playing along, or I can send you that link in the chat icon. So if you open the chat, it looks like two little talk bubbles. You can see in there, there's a couple little hellos, and then I sent you the B string of the book that I like to use for guitar. So then you can download it on your end. Yeah, click on it, it'll download, and then we can play it because I have the book and ask any questions, and then I will ask you to buy the book. But sometimes when someone's new, they haven't had the chance to buy the book yet, and so it's nice to have that as an option. But here's one I really want to make sure everybody knows about is the shared notes. So right beside the chat icon, it looks like a little pencil. When you open the shared notes, it takes you into the Google Drive. And yeah, and then I say, we worked on the B string, because that's the handout that I gave you. And then you can say on the guitar or the ukulele. Now, I won't see that one right away. If you put something in the chat, it'll send me an email right away. But if you put it in the shared notes, then when I open your shared notes for lesson time, I can look at it and say, you cheeky. It's a guitar lesson. I'm not teaching a ukulele. Although technically I could. I do have a ukulele and I know how to play it. But it keeps us on track. So yeah, so I can see that now. If you, let's say you're practicing something and you're like, oh, I can't remember about whatever, measure 6 to 12. I'm really getting stuck every time. If you put that into your shared notes, then when I open it for the lesson, you won't forget to ask me about it. and then we can go over that measure of 6 to 12 and make sure that you've got that part down. Otherwise, that's the pencil icon, yeah, because we want to, the shared notes is really nice because you and I both have access to it outside of lesson time. And the shared notes are like, if you were coming in for an in-person lesson, I would be making notes on your music and I would talking to you about what's going on, and I would send you home with a handout of homework in your little binder or whatever we were using. I find this is even better because, say you were a child, a parent can look at the shared notes and say, oh no, you were supposed to practice measure 6 to 12. It says so right here. Because Johnny's saying, oh, whatever, I don't have to. Teacher said I don't have to practice this week. Teacher wants you to practice every week. But sometimes kids will say, I don't know what I'm supposed to practice. Well, if you look in the shared notes, you will know. It's always there. And they don't go anywhere unless I physically, on purpose, go in and erase them, which I'm not really inclined to do. Um, and I'm just thinking, is there anything else? And I don't think so. I'm going to work on getting another camera for the overhead view on the piano. Sometimes people say, well, it's a guitar lesson, but sometimes for clarity, it's easier to show you why things are the way they are on the piano than on the guitar, because it makes more sense on the piano, because all music is essentially piano music translated to the other instruments. So that's pretty cool. And Forte sends you a reminder. I believe they send you an email reminder 24 hours before and then an hour and a half before your lesson. And if you give me your cell phone number, I can put it into my booking software and send you a text message an hour before your lesson. So if you are a teenager, you'll get a text message, right? Because, you know, they don't check emails. Yeah, 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 yeah. Or even just a band you like. Have you heard this song? I want to learn this song and I haven't heard it. You can share the screen and share it with me. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. That's the main stuff is if we have trouble communicating, you can send it in the chat, I can't hear you, and then I will say, I'm going to log off and come back in. And if you're a child, you really do need to have a person, a grown up person there, just in case there is a problem. But you can always log off on the one device and then log back on with a cell phone or with a tablet, and that will work as well. Just make sure that you always use the same log on, because your email doesn't remember the other emails, right? Just whichever email you were invited to or whichever email you signed up on, that's how you sign in every time. So I say to use the same device every time and just have it saved in the memory so that you don't have to think about that. It's a nice idea to come a few minutes early to the lesson, but it's not really necessary. And I will let you in, like if your lesson's at 8:15, I will let you in at 8:15. I might even be in my room puttering and getting ready to go, but I won't open the meeting until I'm ready to teach you. And you have to have a pencil. You have to have some form of ability to write things down, because we are doing music, and sometimes I'll say, like, just for example, oh, that's a flat, and you miss it again and again and again. Well, then I'll ask you to circle that note, and then you'll remember that it's a flat. Even though we're using technology, there is still that place for having the physical book in your hand. I really think that's important for music, especially if you have any kind of problem come up, right? You can't make a note on a tablet if you've got a PDF of something the same way you can if you actually have a physical piece of paper. Yeah. And always have your glasses if you wear glasses. Don't come to lessons without your glasses. Because that's gonna, the tools for success. And basically, I'm pretty accessible. My email goes to my phone, so I see the email right away if something goes wrong. But I have to log into Forte to get into the the chat icon to send you a message. So I might not be able to send you the message right away unless I have a text number for you. That's it. And we're ready to go. Awesome. Yep. Well, usually I leave first. To be perfectly honest, I usually leave a couple minutes before technically the end of the lesson so that I can make sure that, like, if I'm in your shared notes, right? Did I actually say do measures 6 to 12? Because we're talking and interacting during the lesson, I might not have put everything in there, or I might have, I'm dyslexic, so I might have misspelled some things, or the sentence didn't make sense. So I like to read the notes and make sure they actually make sense. And in order to do that, it's easier for me to do that at the very end of the lesson. So I usually leave like 2 or 3 minutes before the end to make sure that I'm, you know, not confusing you more with, you know, gobbledygook. What does this mean? Well, if you were a 20-year seasoned musician, you would know what I'm talking about, but I have to make sure that it's very, very clear for someone who's brand new. So that does take a little bit of time. And I'm on to the next, right? So I had someone come late last week, but by the time they came, it was the top of the hour and I was in my next lesson. So then I can't help you. I can't chat with you. I can't interact with you in any way. I'm in this. And when I'm in this lesson, I'm not getting messages from other lessons that I can reply to. Yeah, it's fun. Okay. Bye.